Hey everyone, welcome to the third edition of the Rollout Show. I am your host, Weston Riddle, and I am joined by my co-host.
You did it again. You did the same thing I complained about last time.
Yeah, because I thought you were going to come in and, actually say your name again. Is this just going to be our thing?
Are you trying to turn this into a bit? Is that what this is?
I think it's
You're
just
trying to turn it
I
into
haven't
a
tried.
bit?
I thought you were trying to turn it into a bit. And we always just start the show with an argument because you never come in on time. And
Did you just collapse? Are you okay?
I'm a little frustrated, Bradley. I'm a little frustrated.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, my friend.
You're just like the Warriors, except, today isn't the first.
What is that supposed to even mean?
March 1st, 3-1. Blowing leads, disappointing.
I like it.
Thanks,
that was
man.
Smooth.
Thanks.
Good work.
Thanks. I try. That's what I do when I'm at Starbucks. Yeah, no. Actually,
Drinking coffee?
yeah, I'm not very smooth at Starbucks. The coffee's smooth, but, all I really say is, hey, I want an iced coffee with coconut milk. Yeah, no classic sweetener. That's fine. That's about all it is.
You are such a white girl.
I'm a white man that just has the same likes as a white girl. But see, that's how you get to have a white girl, by thinking like a white girl.
Can we just start, please?
Yeah, we can. I don't really know what I was going with that one.
You're making me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was actually uncomfortable myself because I was like one of those things that just like came out, and then after the fact you're just like, and even in the middle of saying it, you're like, that's really dumb, but you're committed, so you kind of have to finish saying it.
It was really stupid. It didn't make sense at all.
It doesn't even make sense to me, and I don't even believe that. I just like Starbucks coffee. I'm not trying to act like a white girl. I just like the coffee. So I'm trying to be funny, man. I had a really good joke the first time, went over well, and I just tried too hard the second time.
You're doing a bad job right now. Let's just move on, please.
Okay. So, NFL free agency, huh? That's coming up soon.
It's a surprisingly amazing year in NFL free agency.
Usually you'll have maybe one or two guys, and NFL free agency isn't as big as other leagues' free agency. You don't have the excitement that you have in MLB or the NBA, where a lot of stars
usually
get out there.
if they can't get a long-term deal done, they'll just franchise tag a player. And like the Broncos did with Von Miller, like the Redskins are currently doing with
can we just
what's his face?
Can
Kirk
we
Cousins?
just rename the franchise tag the Kirk Cousins tag?
We should.
This is 2 years in a row, and it's probably going to happen a third if he sticks with Washington.
If it happens a third, they might as well get rid of him because they obviously don't believe in him long term. Why would you franchise tag someone 3 times? You're wasting so much money of your salary cap. If the third year he's going to make like $28 million,
he's
guaranteed.
He's going to get paid more than any other quarterback ever in a 3-year span, and it's great because I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan, but it's hysterical at the same time.
He is aggressively mediocre. Go on.
You're a hater. But anyway, it's just crazy, and I love how he's able to play. At least last year he was able to play under the franchise tag and all that pressure, and he's still out there like making plays, like running down after an interception and making a tackle. The stuff you...
Oh yeah, he looked great in that game that if they won, they would have made the playoffs against the Giants at week 17.
Hey, you win some, you lose
really
some.
Good.
Hey, you win some, you lose some, all right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of teams in the NFL that would love Kirk Cousins.
There are. I just don't know. I understand why you have to mortgage your future on a relatively good quarterback because they're so hard to come by, but he's not a guy that's going to carry you to a Super Bowl. You need a good team around him. He's not an elite player. So it's hard to mortgage your future on somebody like that.
Bradley, he's still really young, though. Because it didn't happen overnight. For guys like Aaron Rodgers. He didn't just wake up and become elite. He had some growing pains once he actually became the starter. And I mean, when you look at it, Kirk
I don't
Cousins
think he did.
I mean,
Go look at the numbers.
He sat
Aaron
for
Rodgers,
4 years though.
Oh, I understand, but when he was the starter, he was elite right away.
He was really good, but I mean, he didn't reach what he is today like right away.
Well, no, but Kirk Cousins will never get there. He's been in the league for 4 years now.
Yeah,
he should be developing, and he's okay. He's good. He's a good quarterback. If I was the Redskins, I would sign him long term. I think he's good enough. It's just something that you feel a little uneasy about because he's not extremely elite.
It's just those guys are really, really hard to come by.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree completely.
I think he's leading that second tier, though.
No.
Kirk Cousins.
Who's in the second tier?
I mean, I guess that would really base the discussion. But of guys that are available, like if you could have any of the guys that are out there, I'm taking Kirk Cousins. I mean, outside of an assuredly healthy
Garoppolo's
Romo.
Not available. Yeah,
I would take
no,
Cousins over Garoppolo because
Garoppolo
is going to ask that money.
I don't think second level is available quarterbacks, and Kirk Cousins isn't available, so it doesn't matter.
Right. I mean,
so why are we even talking about him? What happened? How are we already on a tangent?
Because I love Kirk Cousins, man. Okay, I made a solid joke, and then we got down this way. Okay, I'm being a host. All right.
The topic is NFL free agency. Let's talk about a guy who was franchise tagged, Kirk Cousins.
Hey, that's part of NFL free agency is whether or not somebody gets franchise tagged. I mean, like the decision Chicago made to not franchise tag Alshon Jeffrey. Which,
hey, segue.
Hey, I'm pretty good at this thing, aren't I?
Where do you think he's going to go?
See, part of me is I'm really either thinking Packers or Titans, but I'm leaning Titans because
the Packers won't do it.
Yeah, that's the main reason because the Packers
they're too
could
hesitant
use a
to
guy.
spend big money.
They could.
They could, but they won't spend big money.
And also the injury concerns, I think, scare them anyway because they already have enough guys that are consistently injured. So
like all of them.
Yeah, I mean, Jordy Nelson is probably the one that's injured the least. It's just whenever he's injured, it's something serious. It's a torn ACL or it's a broken rib, collapsed lung situation, and he still played. But I'm really leaning towards Tennessee because I think it's part of the reason is it's a young team. He can step in and be the focal point of the offense, outside of Mariota. And
well, there were rumors today that the Titans were trying to get Brandon Cooks from the Saints. So if that happens, there's no way he goes to the Titans.
Yeah, that is true. I don't think there'd be any way. If Brandon Cooks does end up going there, then I mean, that's going to be their big get, which he would fit in perfectly on that team. They'd have so much speed.
It'd be a great addition. Brandon Cooks is a solid receiver.
And I think he honestly might even be better in Tennessee than he would be in New Orleans.
Why?
I mean, I know that sounds weird to say, but...
Sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous.
Makes no sense at all.
I love Drew Brees and Sean Payton, but I think he would just fit better in Tennessee. With Mariota, you'd have like a little bit more leeway because with the Saints...
But it's not a pass-happy team.
Well, not right now.
They won't be. They're a run-first team. That's their philosophy. That's their coach's philosophy.
Yeah, and that's going to free up Brandon Cooks. They're going to probably use him on some end-arounds and things like that as well, just because of his speed. Okay. And then they'll do some, design scrambles with Mariota and then just basically send Brandon Cooks on a streak and outrun everybody.
I guess it just depends on what they have to give up for him. Because I don't think he would be an incredible addition to their offense if they have to give up like a high draft pick or something. If they can get him for relatively cheap because the Saints obviously like Michael Thomas more, then you do what you got to do.
Well, I mean,
he'll help. I just question how great he'll be in the offense because it's a run-first offense and the first passing option is the tight end 100% of the time. He would be the deep threat that you throw to 5 or 6 times a game to keep the defense from pressing up. Because Mariota's not a great deep ball thrower.
Well, I think they'd use him in the slot some as well. I mean, they would focus on him because, I mean, Rashard Matthews broke out for them last year. And, I mean, he was basically cut by the Dolphins. Like, I mean, they just let him walk.
Oh, yeah, he had a great year.
I mean, he did. So, I mean, they'll find a way to get you the ball. It's just... And another thing about the whole trade, the Titans would be more willing than most teams to give up a high draft pick because of the trades they've already made, because they have 2 first-rounders this year. And I believe 2 second-rounders. So they kind of...
You can't give up a first-rounder for Brandon Cooks. There's no way. That team has too many needs.
I mean, I don't think they're that far away. Especially in that division.
Defensively, they are.
Defensively, yeah, they need some work, but it depends on who signs there, because that is an appealing destination now. And also, just whoever they want in the draft, because they have 2 middle first-round picks. So, I mean, you're not really getting Myles Garrett unless something crazy happens. So,
no, you're not.
I mean,
you're going to have to get a prospect later on.
Exactly. So it all depends on really what their strategy is and what they can do in free agency. But if any team could do it, though, the Titans would be able to pull that off. And honestly...
Maybe. They have a solid front office.
They really do, and I feel like Cooks would just fit in very well with that team. Just overall. He'd fit kind of the culture that they have there.
Yeah, I can see it. Who else we got? We got Calais Campbell, defensive end.
Tennessee Titans. The Titans are signing everybody.
This isn't baseball. You can't just sign everybody. There's a salary cap.
They're going to take less money to go to Tennessee because they all love country music.
That's ridiculous.
Let's
See, Dante Hightower, your boy.
Actually, speaking of Dante Hightower, I could honestly see him signing with Tennessee. With Calais Campbell,
insight is ridiculous.
With Calais Campbell, I was joking, but then you brought up Dante Hightower. I could actually see him going to Tennessee. I could see him signing in Tennessee.
Boye.
AJ Boye, that one's tougher. Because I don't think he's going to re-sign in Houston, because otherwise they would have tagged him. I just don't think they have the money to afford him. Maybe, I know Philly is going to try to make some moves in free agency, but I don't know if they would have enough to sign him, or if they're going to try to go after somebody like Alshon Jeffrey, or get Deshaun Jackson back.
They're going to go after Deshaun Jackson. I think if they're gonna get any free agency, it's gonna be defensive, and I think AJ Boye fits that system pretty well. So I don't think that's a horrible destination for him.
No, I mean I think that'd be a pretty good spot for him because they're an up and coming team as well. And another team I thought of, which he would fit in like a glove, would be Carolina Panthers.
Oh, yeah, they need help in that secondary really badly.
Ever since they let Josh Norman go, if they could...
Which was a mistake.
Oh, it was a terrible mistake. It was an emotional decision, and a lot of feelings got hurt, and then that's what happened there. But if they were be able to sign somebody like AJ Boye and bring him in, then the Panthers are a contender again, just basically immediately.
We got AP. Dude,
he's going to Tampa. That's my gut.
Tampa?
He honestly, he gave his list of teams, what was it, 3 weeks ago, he was just talking about randomly. It's like, yeah, I'd really like to, play in Tampa or, with the Giants or the Cowboys or something like that. Or I think he brought up Houston.
Did the Bucs ever cut Doug Martin?
I haven't seen if they've cut him yet, but, if they have a chance to get Adrian Peterson, they're going to get Adrian Peterson.
If they want to stick with Doug Martin long term, they can't sign AP.
I don't think...
There's no way.
Because how long is AP going to play anyway? And also, Doug Martin's contract is non-guaranteed now, and he lost the starting job last year. They went with Jaquiz Rodgers, and they seem to like him better anyway. So I really don't think they're going to stick with Doug long term, because I don't think
But the question is, does AP want to be part of a stable, or does he want to be the workhorse? He may not be the 100% workhorse, but if he goes to the Giants, who already cut Rashad Jennings, he's going to be the primary back.
He would be in Tampa, too. He just wouldn't be the third down back. They'd just bring in Jaquiz Rodgers, which, I think at this stage of his career...
They love Jaquiz Rodgers, and they like Chris Sims. I think they would try and get all three of them on the field.
They probably would, but it just depends on what Cutter wants to do. I honestly, you're telling me Jameis Winston wouldn't be begging for Adrian Peterson to come in there? That'd be a heck of a veteran presence to bring into that young locker room.
True.
That would be a huge get for Tampa Bay. because that would just make the Bucks a destination again because they are, up and coming. And so far it's been you've had to overpay guys to come to Tampa Bay, whereas now people are seeing the young core and they're like, okay, this is a team I actually want to join. And may take a little less money to join because it's a good situation.
I think that's a little overstated. I think there are good enough situations that most guys are going to take the cash. Unless it's New England, I think most guys are going to go after the money first. Because, even Jacksonville, you can make the case that it's a young core, they're up and coming, and they're going to be trash again next year because they're always trash because Blake Bortles sucks. But you can justify it in your head to get that big payday. That's just how it goes.
Bradley, we're talking about NFL free agency. We're not talking about my favorite quarterback, Blake Bortles, okay?
Blake Bortles is trash.
He's not trash.
Terrible. He's trash.
As we could all see, Gus Bradley was not a good head coach.
Bottom half of the league quarterback play. Trash.
I want to see what Doug Marrone will do with Blake Bortles. If it doesn't work out within a year or so, then you can make that assumption. But Blake Bortles has the talent. It's just you teamed him up with a guy that is a defensive coordinator.
Negative.
He
does not have the talent.
He's got the arm
because
strength.
He's trash. He has arm strength and that's it. He's inaccurate. He has horrible footwork and technique. And he's got horrible accuracy.
No.
Did I say accuracy twice? I might have said accuracy twice.
Yeah, I think you did.
And he has horrible pocket presence. He's not good.
Okay. There's a lot of
He's got
quarterbacks that have horrible pocket presence.
Offensive core to work with. Yeah, bottom half of the league.
Your boy Nick Foles had a great pocket presence, didn't he?
He looked real good for 1 year.
He did. Oh, that boy did. And I was still saying, you just wait for Kirk Cousins. And I was right.
Nick Foles will get a shot.
I mean, really, he hasn't beaten out Alex Smith yet, Bradley. I mean, I like to think Blaine Gabbert's going to get another shot, but I mean, look at us now.
Yeah. Anyway, who else? Eddie Lacy.
Eddie Lacy. I think whoever doesn't get Adrian Peterson is going to sign Eddie Lacy. I could see him with the Giants. I think he'd fit in really well with the Giants.
I hope the Packers re-sign him. As one who roots for the Packers, I don't think he'll be obscenely expensive because of everything that's happened the last couple years. And I think an Eddie Lacy, Montgomery combo would be pretty solid.
That would be really solid. I'd like to see him in Green Bay again. It's just I don't know if the relationship is that strained,
I don't think there's a bad relationship. He was getting the carries before he got hurt, and he was playing better.
I
think most of that team believes in him. And, I mean, when you're with the team, you have friends with the team and whatnot. It just depends on the money because the Packers won't overpay anybody.
Right.
So if he's willing to take a 3-year, $18 or $16 million deal, they'll sign him.
Yeah.
If he's not, they'll let him walk. That's just what the Packers do. They know they have Kristen Michael, even though he's trash, and they know they have Ty Montgomery. Kristen Michael's awful.
He's okay.
He looks incredible in spurts, and then other times he's just a moron, and he's horrible. How are you not starting over Ty Montgomery, a wide receiver?
Because Ty Montgomery was quick. You see Ty Montgomery run?
But every time he went in the pocket, and he got better through the year, but the first few games, anytime he went in the hole, he got popped, and I didn't think he was going to get back up. He was running like a receiver at first. He got a lot better, and it's why I think he'll at least split carries next year, because I think he'll be a solid NFL running back. But when he first started, it looked dangerous to me. I thought they weren't going to keep going in the direction they were going. I thought they were going to move him back to receiver and start Kristen Michael, which it turned out I'm happy that they didn't.
I mean, it's just he was learning the position on the fly, which I thought was amazing.
Oh yeah, and he ended up being great.
Yeah,
Well, maybe not great.
not great,
relatively great.
he helped
Relatively
them.
great.
He helped them on that winning streak though, because they needed him to come through, and he did.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I mean they were decimated with injuries.
He's a great option out of the backfield. He's got to get a little bit better at blocking, but yeah.
Speaking of this running back train, great option out of the backfield, we get to another former great running back, Mr.
Jamal Charles.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me say it.
Called it.
You wouldn't let me say it.
No. We'll see, man. I mean, last year he had all the opportunities in the world to come back and play, and he couldn't get healthy.
I mean, he's gonna be 2 years removed from the surgery at this point.
Yeah, but he was a year and a half removed earlier in the season. And the fact that he wasn't comfortable with his knee a year and a half after, we'll see. And I'm sure any team that he's going to sign with, they're going to poke and prod the knee and make sure it's stable, make sure he feels okay. But he's also going to tell every team that he feels fine until they sign him.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they're gonna work him out most likely. I mean, they're gonna be able to see how the knee's actually holding up. And I think since he went on IR, he's been training and everything and getting more
But he was training before.
Yeah, I know, but he wasn't.
He was training for a year and a half.
He played in one game, Bradley, and he just wasn't ready, so they put him on IR. I mean, that was week 3.
Well, he played in more than one game, didn't he? Didn't he play in 2 games or 3 games?
He got very minimal carries. I think it was mainly week 3. He got 6 carries. But
wasn't there a game he had 6 carries, 2 touchdowns, or something ridiculous?
I think that was week 3. But I mean, they had Spencer Ware and West, so they're if you're not comfortable, I mean, they basically said they care more about him as a person than they also really didn't
I
need
agree
him.
with their decision for sure.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with their decision to put him on IR and then cut him, because you have 2 really good young running backs who have faith in their knees. Jamal Charles didn't have that last year. We'll see if he does this year. I hope he does. He's an amazing... I can't talk today.
You really can't. You're doing awful at this.
He's an amazing running back when healthy. We'll see. We'll see.
I could really see him going to whatever team drafts, say, Dalvin Cook, and just kind of forming a tandem. Say, Indianapolis drafts Dalvin Cook, and then I could see them signing Jamal Charles to kind of be there with Dalvin Cook, and,
I don't see that.
You don't see that?
Because they still have Frank Gore.
That's right. I didn't know if his contract was actually up or not, but...
No, he's got another year.
Well, that's my mistake. Without Frank Gore there, that would have been an awesome situation. But
I get your idea. You bring in the young running back, and then you bring in Jamal Charles to be the mentor.
Yeah, to be the mentor and take a little
as long as he doesn't
off.
want a ton of money. I agree. For sure.
I really doubt Jamal Charles is going to want a ton of money unless somebody.
He probably just wants to play.
I think he just wants to play. I mean, he's going to cost a couple million at this stage of his career. So, I mean,
I could see him going to the Patriots, to be honest.
I could see that, or I could also see him going to the Steelers and backing up Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. D'Angelo Williams is starting to get old.
He's starting to get old, and unless they want to re-sign him or something, or unless he really wants to cash in one last time and be a starter or something, I could see him ending up in Pittsburgh. Because the guy who drafted him is the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, so... Todd Haley.
Well, all right then. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
Pittsburgh it is.
Insider information only heard here on the Rollout Show. Anyway. Pat myself on the back for that one. Alright, so this is a question, considering what time of the year it is. We're early March. Everybody's in Indianapolis. It's Combine time. Now, does the Combine actually really mean as much as people make it out to be? Because you're seeing a lot of people running around in gym shorts. You're having drills like the broad jump, which you really don't ever use in football. You're taking IQ tests. So you see some guys who just completely blow out the Combine. Like a Stephen Hill. He gets drafted highly because his stock rose so much because of how fast he ran at the combine, and you never hear about him in the league.
Like a Chris Conley, like a who's the guy that's on the Steelers now that the Raiders drafted because he was the
Darius
fastest guy
Hayward
at the
Bay.
combine? There we go, Darius Hayward Bay.
There's only really one guy, two guys I can really think of whose stock shot up really far because they had a great combine and have backed it up in the league. And that's Dontari Poe and Julio Jones. Because Julio Jones, he was still seen as a first-round pick, but he was seen as more of a mid to late first-round pick. And then after the combine, he shot up to top 10. People were trading up to get him. And then him and Dontari Poe are freaks of nature and have actually backed it up in the league. Does the combine actually mean as much as people make it out to be?
Okay, so no. Short answer. Longer answer. There are positives that come from the combine. So the interview process, where every team has the chance to interview all of these prospects, is a really good thing. I think that's the most important part of the combine because it's the part where you get to talk one-on-one with a player. You get to see what makes them tick, except some of the questions they ask them are kind of weird and psychological, and I don't get that
question.
Yeah, but most of the time, I think the interviews are really useful if the teams use them properly. Second, I think it is good to see a player's overall athleticism because, and yeah, their athleticism in pads on a field is going to be different, and you don't use this to replace all the work you did before watching tape, studying the player. Use it to supplement. You see a guy's a freak of nature athlete, it's gonna influence the way you think about them a little bit. It shouldn't be the number one thing on your mind, but it's part of the process. It should go into consideration for sure. Because if you see a guy go and stink up the combine, it's generally either they weren't prepared, which is fair. A lot of guys don't prepare because they think it's a waste of time or whatever. Or it's because they aren't really that good of an athlete. They just have, kind of, I don't want to say faked it through college and high school. They just don't have elite athleticism, which doesn't always matter, but it should be part of the process, part of your overall grade of a player. But it definitely shouldn't take the place of tape. Tape should always be number one.
Right, and it's kind of like the situation with Tom Brady. I mean, he did awful at the combine. He's a great player.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have people, I guess you see it more with quarterbacks than anything. You have a guy like Teddy Bridgewater who did terrible at the combine and did terrible at his pro day. But when he actually got into the league, he was a pretty good quarterback. He's not lighting the world on fire, but before his injury, he was playing very, very well.
And that's why tape's more important. I mean, if you studied Teddy Bridgewater before, he was a solid quarterback, good pocket awareness, decent accuracy.
He could run a little bit.
And he could run a little bit, and he played tough competition, and you got to see him against some solid college competition.
Exactly, and then, because who went above Teddy Bridgewater?
Oh, gosh. Was that the Blake Bortles draft?
I think, was that...
You
that
want
was
to
the
look this up really
Manziel.
quick?
I think that was the Manziel draft.
Let's see. Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm pretty confident that was the Johnny Manziel draft. This is completely off topic, but, I mean, that just popped in my head.
He was drafted 32nd overall.
Yep, I remember the Vikings traded up in the first round to get him.
I'm doing a horrible job here.
Way to go, stats. Oh, that's a Clowney draft. That was Blake Bortles went 3. That's Brandon Cooks, haha. Johnny went 22. Teddy Bridgewater was 32. So, really, Teddy Bridgewater was probably, out of the first round guys, who's probably the...
Who was it again? Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles at 3. Johnny at 22. And then you had Teddy at 32 and Derek Carr at 36. But Carr was a second rounder.
So I think most people would agree that Derek Carr is the best out of that bunch. But Teddy Bridgewater, out of the first rounders, is clearly the best.
Out of the first rounders, oh, for sure, yeah. Man, that
because,
was
like we talked about before, Blake Bortles is trash.
yeah. Wow, looking at this draft was absurd. Oh my goodness. Like Allen Robinson, second round pick, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then Jarvis Landry were 3 picks in a row in the second round.
So 3 solid picks.
And then Coney Ealy was the pick right above that. Oh my goodness. This was
Can we get back on topic, sir?
never. I'm just gonna look at this draft.
We're going off on
Forever.
tangents again.
I know. So speaking of the interview process and whether the combine means anything, that brings us to the topic of the guys who didn't get invited to the combine. As we now know, Joe Nixon and Chad Kelly didn't get an invite to the combine. So some executives in the league are saying this is terrible because they had them on their draft board and wanted to interview them and talk more about the off-the-field incidents that happened with them. And then
They can go to the pro day.
Get
over it.
I agree with that, but it was mainly the GM of the Lions who was making a big issue about this and was, crying foul about it. But you have the pro day to talk to him. You have all the other workouts and everything. You can talk to him, but there were some executives that were saying, hey, this is great because, there was no chance we were going to draft him, because of the terrible situation that happened. So you have, I guess it's really the debate on which side. Does it actually mean anything that he misses the combine? Well, yes, because he's not getting to work out in front of all these people, but it still really doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things because somebody's still going to draft him.
And look, this was all a PR move by the NFL. And it's hard to blame them for it. I mean, you have 2 guys that have gotten in a lot of trouble, Joe Nixon especially.
Oh, it's terrible.
And you're a private company. You're allowed to do this. It's a PR move. I understand. I don't know if I would do the same thing. I might. I probably would, actually. But I understand why most of the owners and Roger Goodell wouldn't.
I know Chad Kelly, I think Joe Nixon was kind of all... I mean, I think he understood and he's not wanting to have any backlash come on him. Chad Kelly was out there fighting this thing. Like, he was really upset. He apparently had... His family had bought tickets to fly out to Indy, had hotel rooms booked for him at the Combine, and then, just a week or so before, hey, yeah, you're not invited. Sorry. So I know he was upset, but I mean, I'm not really shocked that Chad Kelly would make a big deal out of something, so.
Get over it?
Maybe
I guess.
You shouldn't have gotten into multiple domestic assault cases.
Yeah, I have no sympathy for these guys. They'll be fine. They have their pro day. They'll get drafted. They'll make millions of dollars. I'm not going to have sympathy for them not getting invited to this. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have gotten into multiple fights in bars while you were in college, which got you kicked off of Clemson and then almost got you kicked off of Ole Miss before you even got there.
And then threatened to bring an AK into a bar and shoot everybody.
Yeah.
No thanks. Get over it.
I'm honestly surprised Ole Miss still accepted him after that, because that was right as he was about to go. I mean, with the stuff that's coming out about Ole Miss, I guess not.
Yeah, exactly.
But before, when the amount of respect I had for Hugh Freeze was a little higher than it is today, I was a little surprised. But, I mean, you can kind of tell that Ole Miss was really trying to get relevant, and we're going to do anything they could.
They did what they had to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's how it is in SEC and college football in general. You just have to do what you have to do. But
that was a great segue.
Thank you.
Is that going to take us to our next topic?
I was thinking so, because I was going to say a couple other things about Joe Nixon.
Oh, you finish your thoughts then. I'm sorry for trying to force you into a segue that you inadvertently made.
It was such a good segue, though. Like, it was
okay.
Such a good segue.
Finish your thoughts.
Because I almost made it myself, and I was like, crap. So, Joe...
Just a premature segue. It's okay.
Yeah, hey. Sometimes you jump the gun, alright? So, Joe Nixon. Anyway. Joe Nixon. Wait, is it Joe Nixon or Joe Mixon?
Joe... It's Nixon.
Okay, good.
Wait. Is it?
See, because I started doubting myself halfway through that, and I was like, oh... I really don't.
No, it's Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
Definitely Joe Mixon.
Okay.
Oops. Go ahead and fix those show notes. Whoops.
Hey,
Joe Mixon.
Anyway, so getting back to Joe Mixon. I'm really good at this. Getting back to Joe Mixon. I know he got suspended for a year, but I'm a little surprised. Speaking of, college football, you have to do what you have to do. I think it was ridiculous he even was allowed to stay at the program. To be honest with you, because the Tyreek Hill situation, Oklahoma State just kicked him off the team, and he had to go to some Division II college in Western Alabama. And it completely hurt his stock. He ended up being a fifth rounder, and the Chiefs took some heat from it. Whereas Joe Mixon got suspended for a year, and then next season was right back out there as a starting running back for the University of Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners.
I agree with you.
I agree
with you. He did a horrible, horrible act, and he should have been kicked off the team. In my opinion.
Oh yeah. He shouldn't have even been allowed to play in Division I again, to be honest.
And I understand why a coach would want to try and give a player a second chance. I'll even give Bob Stoops the benefit of the doubt and say that he was actually trying to give a second chance rather than just wanting a great player on his team.
Bradley.
But a player can get their second chance in Division II. I'm sorry. If it's something so egregious, I wouldn't want that player around my locker room. I wouldn't want that player on my team of men that are supposed to go out there and fight for me if I'm Bob Stoops.
This is Bob Stoops we're talking about here. This isn't just the first time he's done this. I'm even surprised Bob Stoops suspended him a year, to be honest with you. Because if there wasn't the video of that, he probably got suspended for maybe 3 games, max.
I agree.
And then he's right back out there. Because this is the same guy.
Well, and that's a lot of college football, too.
It's a lot of it, but, Stoops seems to have a history with this. My biggest thing about this was Dorial Green Beckham, after he got kicked off of Mizzou for having some serious drug issues and needed to go to rehab. Instead, Bob Stoops convinces him to come to the University of Oklahoma and come play for the Sooners, and then is fighting tooth and nail to the NCAA to make him eligible to play a month after he left the University of Missouri. And, of course, he got shot down, and he wasn't actually caring about the player. He was just wanting the player to play for his team so he can win some more games and, maybe make the college football playoff and then lose because, that's what Oklahoma does all the time.
It's college football, man. You got to do what you got to do, I guess. That's the environment it is. It's not a good thing, but that's unfortunately the way it is right now.
Yeah, because, even the recruit from Florida State, DeAndre Johnson, he's back in Division I now since he's signed on with Lane Kiffin at FAU. But, he took some heat from that. The video of him came out, and, he got kicked off of Florida State, which I have to give Jimbo Fisher some credit for that. And then, he had to go play at Eastern Mississippi and rebuild his stock just like Chad Kelly had to do.
And that I have less of a problem with, I guess. It forces them to refocus and hopefully get their life together before moving on to another program and starting over. It feels like a fresh start rather than just a year suspension and welcome back with open arms.
Right. Because in that year suspension, he's still on campus, still going to class.
Still hanging out with the team.
Still on the meal plan. Still getting to work out in the gym. The only thing he didn't get to do was, I guess, practice and play in the games. So, he just got a year off to rest. And then, come back, have a couple more seasons, playing some good football, and then rebuild your stock for the draft. It was a year suspension, so it sounds like, Bob Stoops did something great here, but really he just got a year of rest and just hanging out and focusing on school.
Yeah. There's not much to add to that. I agree. Good work.
Thanks, Max Kellerman.
No problem, Stephen A.
Stephen
Debate show
A.
where
Smith.
we always agree.
Stephen A. very eloquently put, and I agree 100%, but I will also say this in agreement with you and argue with you as I agree.
Hey, but First Take crew, feel free to come on the show. That's at the Rollout Show. Once again, that's at the Rollout Show.
Dynamite drop in. Dynamite. You're really getting this marketing thing down, Bradley.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Also, Bob Stoops and Joe Mixon. I'm sorry I said your name wrong the first time. If y'all want to come on the show, please. I'd actually prefer Joe Mixon to come on the show than Bob Stoops because I really don't have much respect for Bob Stoops at all. Anyway.
Wait, you have more respect for someone who punched a girl in the face than Bob Stoops?
Well, I'd rather hear his side of the story and actually have like an honest
I think it would be a more interesting interview.
Exactly,
that I agree with.
Because Bob Stoops
You want to walk back the respect comment?
Well, the respect. Yeah, I'm going to walk back the respect comment, but it's more of, I'm not going to say I have more respect for Joe Mixon than I do for Bob Stoops, but I really don't have a lot of respect for Bob Stoops because, yeah. I mean, I don't believe he's a great coach. I think he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that gets covered up that you don't hear about. And he just doesn't win, and I honestly don't think he's a really good person. And if he was coming on to interview with us, I mean, I feel like he'd just give the whole politically correct response and then try to blame somebody else for something that happened. And talk
he's
about
like
how
he's like a less moral Mark Richt.
Yeah,
he's gonna win games, can't win the big one, always gonna be politically correct.
Yeah. And, I mean, if Mark Richt, you want to come on the show, we will welcome you with open arms because I have enormous respect for you.
Can I give you a hug, Mark Richt? I love you.
Can we also, do this interview down in Coral Gables if you would like? Because, I mean, I'm totally down with going down to Coral Gables if you want to.
As long as I get that hug.
Bradley really wants a hug.
I need a hug.
And can you two sing Glory, Glory, Old Georgia together?
Nothing would make me happier.
The only thing that'd make you happier is if he had Uga there with him.
And then Aaron Rodgers was petting Uga.
While wearing Matthew Stafford's Georgia jersey for some reason.
Oh, man.
And then Orson Charles pops in and then it just ruins
Why
it.
Orson Charles?
I love Orson Charles.
Give me like
Charles,
Todd
man.
Gurley or
Blair
Noshawn
Walsh.
Moreno or Herschel Walker. Oh, no, Blair Walsh. Thank you. Or Herschel Walker. Anyone not named Blair Walsh, actually.
Aaron Murray?
I'm cool with. You know what? I'll take him.
What about Chris
I'd rather
Conley?
have Matthew Stafford, but I'll take him. I'll take him. He's a great dude. I'd rather have Malcolm Mitchell, but I'll take Chris Conley.
And that is our weekly segment on which Georgia players are Bradley's favorites.
What a horrible segment. We should never do that again.
We should never do that again, but I really did like the whole imagery we got to of us just going down to Coral Gables while Mark Richt is on the University of Miami campus with Uga in tow, with Aaron Rodgers wearing a Matt Stafford jersey as we hug both of them and do an interview on the podcast.
Nothing. That would be the greatest day of my life, including my wedding. That would be the greatest day of my life.
You might want to walk that back.
Nope. Standing firm.
Okay, all right.
She'll understand.
You know what? She probably would understand. She'd probably be happy for you as you're crying
thrilled.
tears of joy in Aaron Rodgers' hands. I feel like that would happen.
That'd be great.
I'm just picturing the whole thing. And you know where we could do this interview? Not just in Coral Gables, but we could take it to the island that Adidas is giving away anybody who breaks the 40 record.
Oh, segue!
You like that?
You like that?
How you like me now? Apparently not well enough to give you an extension. But we already talked about Kirk Cousins. So anyway, this Adidas marketing idea, I think is genius. Because, for one...
Explain the marketing idea.
The marketing idea is Adidas is going to give away $1 million or an island to anyone at the combine who breaks the 40-yard dash record set by Chris Johnson, which was a 4.25, correct?
4.24.
I think it may have been a 4.24, 4.24, 4.25. That range. It was just ridiculously fast, hard record to break, and
Impossible record to break.
pretty much impossible.
Well, I
record
guess
to break.
not impossible, but it's gonna be a while.
It's going to be a while. So Adidas is offering, if you break that record wearing Adidas cleats, then you get an island, or you get $1 million in cash. So, for one, this is great for Adidas because Adidas has been lagging behind Nike in a lot of different arenas, and also starting to lag behind Under Armour. So this is just it's over $1 million worth of advertising just because it's such an outlandish idea, and it's going to get so many people wearing Adidas cleats, whether they have a chance, they even think they have a chance of breaking the record or not. If it's anybody,
Well, and it's $1 million worth of advertising that they're not going to have to pay. It's free advertising.
it is, and it's amazing because a lot of people are talking about it, and with my marketing background, I absolutely love this idea because it's something just completely out of the ordinary, and for a company like Adidas who wants to be relevant again, you have to do stuff like that. Like, you have to try to shake things up. So, you have somebody who thinks they can break the record, and they're going to start wearing Adidas cleats compared to just, going with the typical Nike, because, you know what? If I wear Adidas and I break this record, I'm going to get $1 million or an island, and if I
mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, because, otherwise you're just going to wear Nike, and Nike's going to be like, good job, kid. Maybe we'll sign you to a
On the
deal.
off chance that you have the best feeling legs of your life, and you run a 4.23, and you're wearing Under Armour shoes, you're going to feel like a dope.
Exactly, because you left money on the table, and there's some guys, like you have a Marquise Goodwin who's with the Bills, who was at Texas, who's ridiculously fast and got close to Chris Johnson's record, but there's some of these guys who this is going to be the height of their fame. They're probably going to be a slot receiver in the NFL. They're not going to be somebody like Odell Beckham Jr. or something. They're most likely not going to be an all-pro, but this could be their chance to actually cash in because there's some of these guys from Division III schools go to the combine, and you know what? People don't realize how fast they are. Just put on some Adidas cleats. If they break the record, then that's going to help their career out immensely.
Oh, yeah, from both a PR standpoint. Because if it happened, they would make a commercial about it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, boom, you got a commercial deal. And you have, I would take the cash, but you could have an island.
Because, that just seems really cool. Yeah, I have my own island. And also, that's going to help his draft stock. Not only just, breaking the record, but it's also going to be just the fanfare of it all. Fans are going to want that guy on their team, and you get to, the third or fourth round, and even later than that, you start taking chances on guys, but, you could see this guy's draft stock shoot up immensely, whereas before, GMs don't even know his name.
To be fair, if a guy ran a 4.23, even without the PR hype, they would get a huge bump up to the third or fourth round.
Oh yeah, but just outside of that, because people are going to see him in the commercial, and fans are going to want, their team to draft him too. And the owner's going to get involved. They're like, yeah, I really want that fast guy who, won the island by Adidas. Because some owners aren't as involved and also want to make a splash. I could see the Cowboys picking him in a heartbeat. If somebody ever did that.
Well, depends on the position, but yeah.
Yeah. Wide receiver, I could definitely see that happening.
Oh, anything but running back was basically my point.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think they would replace Zeke. Dude, could you imagine if it was a quarterback that broke the record? Oh my gosh.
That would be crazy.
That'd be absurd. I don't even care if the guy's 5'8". That'd just be absurd.
Be the new Vic.
I'd draft him.
Why not?
Just start running. I'd just have a huge O-line. Just block for me.
That was Vic, right?
For pretty much, yeah. For most of his career.
In his prime, that's exactly what Vic did.
Vic was doing that and had a decent deep ball. That was Michael Vick.
Yep.
That was great. Those were the good old days where Vic just owned Madden.
Yeah.
All right.
You
So
need to speed up these transitions a little bit.
we really do. We really do. This hasn't been our best show. We're sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody. So, speaking of what takes a very long time, like our transitions, the NFL, wow, the NBA playoffs.
Excellent work.
Thank you. It was great until I stumbled over, NBA. But anyway, the NBA playoffs. Now I'm getting pumped for it. My favorite team is not going to be in the playoff picture, but regardless, I'm very excited for the NBA playoffs. And we had a couple of incidents that happened this past week that had a big impact on the playoff picture. Would you like to comment on those?
Sure. So Kevin Durant got injured. People were talking like it may be extremely serious and he would be out for the year. Turns out he'll be fine. It's like a grade 2 MCL sprain. He'll be back in a couple months, ready for the playoffs. Should be anyway. I guess there could always be a setback. So the Warriors should be fine. What else? Were you talking about, like players getting picked up? I mean, the Cavs got Darren Williams, which they really needed a backup point guard, and I think he's good enough. They got Bogut for depth on the inside. Tristan Thompson really needed help. And, I mean, you get a psychological advantage when you play against the Warriors. The Warriors got Matt Barnes. That's whatever.
Terrible.
I don't really care. He's fine. I don't think it's terrible. He can still play defense, and he's decent on offense. He's not horrible.
Yeah, he's not the best. He's not the best person.
He'll play his... He hasn't done anything recently, has he?
I mean, he's in court because of, misdemeanor assault charges in a Chelsea nightclub, him and Boogie Cousins, but Boogie didn't get charged. But Matt Barnes did for beating up a guy and his girlfriend, allegedly.
Well, that's a problem.
Which is why...
But as a basketball player, he's pretty decent. He carried the Grizzlies last year.
I mean, he really did. I watched a lot of the Grizzlies games. Him and Lance Stevenson, oddly enough, when everybody got injured and the Grizzlies basically... I mean, he was good. He was signed on with the Grizzlies from the beginning of the year, but...
Vince Carter, too, right?
Oh, Vince Carter. Vince Carter was a starting point guard for a little bit.
That was a great run.
That was a great run. The fact that the Grizzlies even made the playoffs last year with all those injuries was just absurd, honestly. Because they were trotting like nobody out there. It was Matt Barnes and Vince Carter and, like I said, Lance Stevenson and Mario Chalmers before Mario Chalmers even got hurt. So Kyle Lowry, that's the injury that really concerns me. Wrist surgery, that's really tricky going into the playoffs. They're saying he's going to be back, but it may end up helping Kyle Lowry a little bit because he seems to be out of gas once he gets to the playoffs, but wrist injuries for a guy that is a perimeter shooting threat, point guard, that's a little tricky.
And this one really sucks because basically you have the Warriors and the Cavs, and then in that second tier, the only teams that have a chance of giving the top teams any sort of run in the playoffs are the Spurs and the Raptors, now that they have Serge Ibaka. But if Kyle Lowry's hurt and not 100%, they have no chance. It's over. Let's just skip to the finals.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think we can skip to the finals anyway. But at least I think we'd get some 6-game series
with
a healthy Kyle Lowry.
You have to watch out for the Wizards, too. Wizards are playing really...
They've got a great starting five, but they don't have the depth to go against Cleveland.
They have Bogdanovich. I really don't know how to say his name.
Bogdanovich,
thank you. From the Nets. That's going to help them in the second team off the bench. They signed Brandon Jennings. That's going to give them a boost on the second unit. So that helps out a lot.
Is Otto Porter coming off the bench now?
No, Otto Porter starts. He's the starting small forward, and they got Bogdanovich. Otto Porter is going to win Most Improved Player of the Year, right?
Is he?
Yeah. Otto Porter is having an amazing season. That's why...
Yeah, but he had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah, he is balling this year.
Oh,
Like he
I haven't
is.
watched much of the Wizards. That's my bad, I guess.
I haven't seen as much of the Wizards, just more highlights, but he's been having a great year, and there's talk about him getting a max deal, which is why the Wizards made the trade with the Nets, because they were able to clear out some money and ended up trading the first round pick, so they'd have a chance of signing Otto Porter and Bogdanovich, because they're both going to be restricted free agents, and somebody's going to offer him max. So he's averaging 14 points a game. He's averaging about 2 assists a game. He's shooting 52.6% from the field and 45.7% from 3.
I mean, that's good, but those aren't incredible numbers.
He's having a really good year, man.
A really good year, I agree.
I mean,
But he had a really good year last year. What were his numbers last year? I bet he was close to those.
he was, let's see. Last year, his field goal percentage was 47%. This year, it's 52.6%. He was averaging 30 minutes a game. His 3-point percentage was 36%, so he's up basically about 10 percentage points this year. Where are points per game on this? Holy crap.
You've really failed me.
Dude, they don't have points per game on here.
Anyway, let's just move on.
Yeah.
I think the East is a little bit more interesting because, I mean, the Celtics, I think, could give the Cavs a 6-game series. The Raptors, if Kyle Lowry comes back, I think could give them a 7-game series. The Heat are getting hot. I don't think they'll win anything, but I think they could make it a little interesting. The Wizards, I think the East is actually a little deep this year for the first time. And I think this is more just because the Warriors are so good rather than the West is getting any worse. I actually think the East is a little bit deeper in the playoffs this year. And by deep, I mean distance from the top seed. Because I would still take the back half of the West over the back half of the East, but I think the back half of the East is closer to the Cavs than the back half of the West is to the Warriors. I think the Warriors are ridiculous, and they're going to beat the Cavs in 6. Maybe 5.
I mean, I don't...
If healthy.
I think it'd go 7 games again.
No. There's
Really?
no way.
There's no way, Bradley. You're saying there's no way.
If healthy, no. There's no way.
Dude, it went to 5 games when it was just LeBron.
Well, it went to 6 when it was just LeBron. But anyway.
Okay, thank you. Which is what I was going to say, but I couldn't remember. But yeah, it went to 6 games with just LeBron.
I think it will be 6 or 5. It will not be 7.
The Warriors have less depth this year. And it's not 100% sure that KD is going to be back for the playoffs.
Depth. They have Iggy. They have Livingston. They have the center who sucks, JaVale McGee. No, they do. But the Cavs had depth last year.
And they won.
Well, yeah. They wouldn't have won. If the Warriors stayed healthy.
Okay.
They wouldn't have. And if Draymond knew how to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, which he doesn't. Which is probably going to happen again this year because he's still kicking people. No,
he won't do that again.
Bradley.
I think he's learned his lesson.
He's still doing it.
Yeah, but it's not the playoffs yet.
He didn't start until the playoffs last year.
Shh.
He's going to do it again, and then he's going to cry foul when he gets suspended for a game and say that the NBA's rigged and everything, which is just what happened last year. When everybody was coming out and saying that. When it's like, actually, no, if you could quit kicking people in the nuts, then, maybe you'd stay on the court. But that's, whatever. You just do you guys. But I really think it comes down to the teams that actually realistically have a shot. I'd say are Cavs, Celtics, Wizards, Raptors. That's the East.
Agreed.
And then you have, in the West, you have Houston, Golden State, Spurs. And that's really it. You can maybe throw the Jazz in there if you're really high on the Jazz.
I don't even think Houston has a shot. I think Houston is a product of the regular season.
I don't think so.
Once it gets to playoff team, I don't think they'll be as good.
I don't think so. I disagree with you there. I think Houston really has a legitimate shot. Houston's got
We'll
depth.
see.
They know what they want to do,
They have
and
mediocre depth.
they've got decent depth.
Their team is James Harden.
If James Harden, Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon comes off the bench, Patrick Beverly, Trevor
Lou
Ariza,
Williams.
Lou Williams.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It's a bunch of mediocre players and James Harden. You need stars to win in the playoffs. But we'll see. They may find their way to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Western.
I doubt it. Or, oh my gosh, yeah, Western. We'll see.
I mean, I could see them doing that. And also, I think if Portland is able to get into the playoffs, they'd be a tough out. But, I mean, right now it's looking tough because even if they get in, it's just going to be against Golden State. Which, if they don't have KD, then I think that would be the toughest first-round matchup for Golden State. Would be Portland.
Yeah, I agree. Just because they have Lillard.
Lillard, McCollum. I mean,
you've got dynamic playmakers, and without KD, yeah, it's like the Warriors from last year minus some depth, which
exactly
isn't great.
Right, because I mean, and what they lost through their depth was more of the guys that could come in and
It was
stop
the big
the
men.
bleeding. Yeah, it was the guys who had the defensive presence that could come in and stop the bleeding.
It was Bogut, it was Azili, and I mean Harrison Barnes. That might be addition by subtraction.
I mean, he was a good
but
perimeter defender.
Losing Bogut, yeah, but they have enough good perimeter defenders. Iggy and Klay Thompson are both elite perimeter defenders.
Yeah,
I'm not that worried about it. But losing Bogut and Azili hurts if you can't have Kevin Durant out there.
exactly. Because then,
I mean, we saw a Bogut-less and Azili-less team in the finals last year, and they just weren't the same against the Cavs.
they weren't because they got bullied by the Cavs, which is why I think the Cavs are going to win it again this year because you have the guy that was the big defensive presence on the Cavs this year, and he doesn't even have to play meaningful minutes. The Cavs just have so much depth if they stay healthy.
I hope it's a 7-game series. I don't think it will be.
I
don't think it'll be as competitive as last year.
I really hope it's like last year because that was just great to watch. I was rooting for I was rooting for 7 games no matter what. I did want Cleveland to win because I wanted Cleveland to win a title for the first time in forever. I also wanted LeBron to win one in Cleveland. So, and also just a 7-game series. I mean, you gotta love that. Just back and forth. Oof.
I have nothing to add.
It's because I said it so well, right?
Beautifully.
I mean, as Stephen A. says, I'm the best. I mean, I honestly believe that, America. I am the best. That wasn't a very good Stephen A.
It was horrible. Were you trying to be Stephen A?
Not really.
I thought you were just reading a Stephen A. quote with your own voice. That was the worst impression I've ever heard of anything.
I didn't try to do an impression, but hearing it
Let's hear the impression then. Let's hear it.
I'm the best. America, I'm the best. I mean this honestly. I think I'm the best. But when I hear that Irvin Magic Johnson is going to be on NBA Countdown and not me, you know what I do? I take a back seat because that's Irvin Magic Johnson.
That sounded the exact same but slightly longer.
Yeah. I was trying to remember the quote in my head and how he said it, and it wasn't working.
Can you do an impression of anybody?
I did a good Stephen A. last week, Bradley.
I don't think you did.
I did. We can play this back.
Was it just
you
you
gave
yelling?
Me credit.
You going, ah!
It may have been that one.
I think it was. All right. Take us out of here.
Wait, we got to talk about the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, my God. Hurry up. We're already over in time.
All right, guys. So, the World Baseball Classic is coming up.
I'm going to take a nap.
That's rude. This means a lot. This is like the Olympics of baseball, since baseball isn't in the Olympics anymore, but hopefully that's going to change. But the World Baseball Classic means a lot to a lot of countries. And I'm personally really excited about it. I actually have tickets to the game in Miami, USA versus the Dominican Republic. I'm really excited about it. even though some of the players are getting hurt now, which is a little upsetting. But I'm really excited to see this because it only comes around every 4 years. It's a great environment, and it means a lot to a lot of different countries. And the amount of sacrifice a lot of the players are making to just play in this tournament. I know Sungwon Oh on the St. Louis Cardinals was flying from Jupiter, Florida to Atlanta, and then flying from Atlanta all the way over to South Korea so he can play for Team South Korea in this tournament. I mean, some of these players are just making a huge sacrifice. They aren't training as much. They aren't staying with their team. They're leaving spring training early so they can play for their country. And I really like to see that. And I like to see different things. Like, you can see on Team USA, a Matt Carpenter playing, and he could be facing off against Carlos Martinez on the Dominican Republic. So you see teammates facing each other, which you never really see. You can see Yadier Molina, catching Carlos Zambrano, which happened one time, which you wouldn't usually see unless it was an All-Star game. And actually, now that I think about that, that happened in an All-Star game. But anyway, it was like a preseason All-Star game, but with countries. And it's really great. And it's a gateway for a lot of different international talent to come to the major leagues. That's where Aroldis Chapman was discovered. Yoenis Cespedes was discovered. And then they ended up defecting Cuba and coming over to the United States. That's where Daisuke Matsuzaka was discovered, ended up coming to the United States. So it's a really good event, and it also helps grow the game in a lot of different countries, like Canada, like Israel, like the Netherlands. And it's really cool just to see all these countries coming together and playing in a great tournament to kick off the baseball season. So make sure you watch.
You made that really positive. I didn't realize it was that big a deal.
See, it's a huge deal, especially for like Team Netherlands or like Team Israel, fighting to make it into the World Baseball Classic. I know it was a huge deal for Team Israel to make it in, and just qualify for the tournament. So, I mean, it's really good to see that, and it helps grow the game in different areas like Curacao and the Netherlands. And it's a really good way for a lot of players to get discovered. I mean, that's how like a lot of the guys end up playing in Japan and then maybe end up playing in the major leagues or coming straight to the major leagues.
I like it.
So you gonna watch it?
I might, actually. You might have convinced me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll think about it. I probably won't, but I'll think about it.
Hey,
and that's more than I would have said 15 minutes ago.
Exactly. I mean, the premier matchup, in my opinion, which is the game I'm going to, is Saturday, 6:30, March 11th, USA versus Dominican Republic. That's going to be a lot of star power in that game.
Sure. Is Big Poppy playing?
No. But there are some guys who are retired that are playing on Team Canada. Like Ryan Dempster's playing for Team Canada.
Oh, that's kind of awesome.
And Eric Gagne. Do you remember Eric Gagne?
No.
Well, he set the consecutive saves record back in the day and then got busted for PEDs. But
what's a save?
That's like a...
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Well,
you can carry on.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, dude, you know what a save is, but for some of our audience that does not know what a save is, go look it up. But
wow, I like it.
Thank you. But anyway, he set the consecutive saves record, and then got busted for PEDs, and he's actually trying to make a comeback at the age of 43. Because he got ramped up to play for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic, and he's apparently going to try to latch on with a team. Which I think is kind of great, because you're seeing like some of these guys you hadn't seen play in ages, coming back and competing for their country.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It is cool. And you get to see different former players who don't really have a lot of experience managing, and then they're out there managing a team. Like, I remember Barry Larkin was managing, like, the Bahamas team or something, and Alex Cora, and then it actually can lead to these guys getting a shot at actually, managing in the majors and coaching more in the majors.
Hey, remember when I told you to make this segment quick?
It's pretty quick. It was, 7 minutes? Right?
Take us out.
All right, guys and gals, and anyone else who may be listening, including dogs and cats.
We love dogs and cats. More dogs, though.
Yes, more dogs. I'll admit that. More dogs. And fish. Any of the fish out there listening?
Hamsters.
Yes.
Gerbils.
Guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ferrets.
Alligators.
Reptiles of all kinds.
And,
Birds of all kinds.
like birds of prey. Waterfowl.
No, like a parakeet.
I was naming different classifications of birds and also cliches. Gosh. Just get out of my spotlight, okay?
Sorry, Mr. Host.
Thank you. Putting a shadow across my face. You're getting in the way of my star, Bradley. You're not letting the peacock fly.
It's a great movie. The other guys,
That is
the
a
best
great
Will
movie.
Ferrell movie.
That is a good movie.
Best Will Ferrell movie.
I was trying to remember what movie that was from because I've just been saying that quote for years and I can't ever remember what movie that's from.
Oh man,
No,
the
that's
other
a great
guys
movie.
Are so good.
Aim for the bushes. There weren't any bushes. Oh goodness.
Woo.
Anyway, on that note, thanks for listening. This is round 3 of the Rollout Show. I am starting to feel better, starting to get more of my voice back, and the shows are going to try to keep getting better and better, and we really appreciate you all listening, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Rollout Show. Go watch us, listen to us on YouTube at The Rollout Show, and download our podcast off of iTunes and Podbean. Bradley, you like anything to add?
Look out for a ESPN bracket tournament challenge group from the Rollout Show coming out soon. And no, just download or listen from wherever you get your podcasts. We should be everywhere. And thanks for listening.
On that note, thanks for listening. Be sure to interact with us on Twitter. Follow us. We love talking to people. And we'll be back next week with that bracket challenge. This has been the Rollout Show. Did you like that?
Was worse than last week.
It was worse than last week? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I decided to do something different. I'll do something else different. And this has been the Rollout Show. Signing off, and we out. Is that better or worse?